If you're looking for a cozy comfort food that's not gonna tighten your belt, this easy seafood cioppino is just what you need. It is simple, quick, and so delicious. Let me show you how. Hey everybody, I'm Kelly with Suburban Soapbox, and today we are making my favorite seafood stew, cioppino. I don't know if that is the proper way to say it. That is how we say it on the East Coast. This recipe was inspired by one that I had at Legal Seafood, and that's how they say it there. So we are calling it cioppino. If you call it cioppini or cioppino or whatever, this is so delicious no matter how you say it. And it's so simple to make. Cioppino originated on the West Coast in San Francisco. It is a seafood stew, and the fishermen used to go out and come back and make this stew with whatever they caught that day. So it could be crab, it could be shellfish, it could be fish. Really whatever they had went into the pot, but it's a tomato base, and I like to spice it up with a little bit of cayenne pepper just to make it taste extraordinary. So to make your cioppino, you're going to need obviously a variety of seafood. So we have some shrimp and some crab, scallops and clams. You can add mussels, you can add crab legs, you can add jumbo lump crab, whatever you want. There are really no rules here. It's more about the tomato base. It starts with some seafood stock and white wine. And then we also add a can of tomatoes. Crushed tomatoes, I like to use a fire roasted tomato. It just has a little more depth of flavor that's really tasty. If you can't find them, just regular crushed tomatoes work well. Chopped onion, some garlic powder, pepper, cayenne, some herbs, tomato paste, Italian herbs, and crushed red pepper flakes. And then I also have some fresh tarragon. You don't want to leave that out. It has a lovely anise flavor. It's not super strong. It's really light and just adds like some really nice back notes to your stew. Before we start the stew, I do want to make one note about your clams. And this is about safe shellfish purchasing. You want to make sure you're purchasing your shellfish from a reputable purveyor, a well-known store. And you'll know this because every store that is selling shellfish has a label here. And this label has all of the retail information, where it came from, the date it was harvested, the actual ship date. There's an original shipper and a shelf stock shipper code. So if in the unlikely event that you become ill or a guest becomes ill eating your shellfish, they can pinpoint exactly where this shellfish came from. So again, this is on clams, this is on mussels and oysters. And then another thing I want to mention, to get the sandy grit out of your shellfish, you're going to put your shellfish, we have the clams, in a very fine mesh sieve here, and I just put it in a bowl, and I had filled this bowl with water, and you just let it sit in cold water for about an hour, and the clams actually will spit out the sand, and then it washes off any grit, and all that grit is in the bottom of your bowl, and then you just lift it out. Just give them one last rinse before you throw them into your pot, and then you have a sand-free stew. So to get started, we're just gonna go over to the stove and start whipping up our stew. So to start your stew, you're going to heat your olive oil over medium-high heat. Once you see it shimmering, we're going to add the onion and just cook that until it's softened. Takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Stir in the garlic and cook for an additional 1 minute. Stir in your red pepper flakes, the Italian seasoning or oregano, and your tomato paste, and you're just gonna cook the tomato paste mixture until it starts to turn like a deep red or deep burgundy color. You'll be able to smell a really rich, deep tomato aroma coming from the pot. Then stir in your wine. You're going to deglaze the pan with the wine. So scrape up any brown bits that have accumulated on the bottom of the pan. All of these brown bits, it's called fond. Fond equals flavor. You want all of that in your stew. Continue cooking until your wine is reduced by half. Stir in the tomatoes and the fish stock and bring to a boil. Stir in your tarragon and then add the clams to the broth. So we're just gonna cook the clams until they open. That's gonna take about 4 to 5 minutes. It could take a little longer. If you have any clams that don't open, just pluck them out. Stir in your shrimp. If your shrimp is still frozen, you just wanna cook that until it starts to thaw a little bit. Once your shrimp starts to thaw, or if it is already thawed, stir in your scallops too, and we're just gonna cook them until they become opaque. Stir in your crab, and we're just gonna cook that until it's warmed through. And then add your garlic powder, your cayenne pepper, and your fresh herbs. So your basil, your tarragon, and parsley. And that's it, your stew is ready to serve. So our cioppino is done. All of the clams are open. I'm just gonna ladle some into a bowl. I'm going to have some lunch. I cannot wait, it smells so amazing. And if you have any clams that didn't open, just take them out. I like a lot of seafood in mine. And I'm now gonna take a bite. This looks so good. You can serve it with some like crostini or some crusty bread with like a lot of butter. That's always good too. Just garnish it however you want. Sometimes I like to put some more crushed red pepper, Parmesan cheese is great, or just some more fresh herbs would be fantastic. That is so good. It's a little spicy because I threw in a little extra cayenne pepper. The crushed red pepper in there just gives it a little bit of heat as well. The tomato is light, tangy, and you get the sweetness from the wine, and the seafood is just briny perfection. If you like this recipe, please be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. For more easy recipes, visit thesuburbansoapbox.com. Thanks again.